You know how I do.
However, Song of the Siren disjointed the fight and came back in favor of Fnatic.
Greetings and welcome in another doubleheader here on our Eastern Division play, D2L Season 5. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. We're going to bring Trouf on as always, and to lead things off, going to be LAI Gaming actually, taking on TongFu. I've been corrected on that a time or two. How about we take a look at how these two teams stack up and where they sit in the standings. LAI Gaming has 2 series under their belt already. They've gone 1-1, puts them squarely in the middle of the pack. And really, I've enjoyed watching LAI Gaming over the last couple of days a ton, Trouf. They're just a fun team to watch.
They've got actually a lot of hidden talent there that people don't know about, specifically XTT. Although I should say, in the last series that they played against IG, I really feel like they should have taken that. Some very questionable decisions by them, specifically buying a Blink Dagger on Void. If you don't remember it, you can check it out. It went to 3 games and a long 3rd game against IG, which they really should have won. But other than that crazy mishap, this has been a very fun team. And despite that weird decision, I do think that XTT is quite a good player among the rest of them. So yeah, they're a fun team to watch.
Oh, for sure. TongFu, well, they've got 1 series under their belt, and it was a loss, unfortunately, for them. So they're going to look to get things back on track a little bit here today. TongFu is one of those teams, has a legendary name, but when you look at their players, there are some familiar names there, but they're just struggling to really reach the pinnacle of where they were going back to TI2. Even you can consider maybe even before that, in terms of what this team brought to bear. They've got Kabu, one of my favorite players to watch, but they just have a lot of things to shore up. What do you think is going to be their biggest challenge in getting things back on track as an organization with this team composition?
I think getting up the motivation with some wins. Motivation is hard to build up when you have a long string of losses. I'm looking at their history right now. It's not the most impressive. Their last win was about over a week ago. To speed, and other than that, they've pretty much not had a good record in the last month and a half that they've been with this roster and whatnot. So it's just finding some kind of win. And with that said, I think they need to maybe go for some kind of aggressive, kind of oddball draft to catch the team off guard for at least 1 win, just to get that morale and the motivation up.
Well, they're going to have the chance to do just that looking ahead. Again, a best of 3 taking on LAI Gaming. It'll be TongFu trying to get things together and get themselves back to even in our standings. I'm AC, as mentioned, and this is our downtown studio in San Francisco. Thanks so much for joining the broadcast. D2L Season 5 Eastern Division action starting right now. Stick with us. We have the draft coming up in just a moment. And as we can see, no time to dilly-dally. These teams both tearing through the draft a little over halfway through now. TongFu leading off with a Centaur War Runner and an Ancient Apparition pick, while LAI Gaming has led off with a Brewmaster, one of your favorite heroes, Stralf, as well as the Shadow Demon. Again, this will be game one of this leadoff best of three of the day. Then it's going to be C-Deck taking on LGD later, so make sure you stick around for that match as well. Thoughts on the opening salvo here?
Well, again, we see Ancient Apparition. I mean, we've been saying this
so popular.
a lot so far in this season among the Eastern teams. So, Ancient Apparition picked up by TongFu this time. An early Shadow Demon pickup, and pretty good pickup against to use his disruption defensively. But the Centaur ulti is actually quite effective against the Shadow Demon's Purge. So I find that a little strange that they picked up an early Shadow Demon. Maybe they just have run it a lot and feel comfortable with it as a support. There was a time ago, I want to say about a few months before TI, when Shadow Demon was picked up constantly. It's still a very good support. It's just kind of fallen out of favor as of late.
Well, he's one of those supports that as you get later and later into the game, I mean, you can talk about how well he sets up certain heroes. But really that tends to stop being the case as you get into the later stages of the game. It's much more important during laning phase. And with the changes that have taken place in Dota, it's just so odd, to see him coming back. What do you think of him in the way the game currently works, which does seem to be at least a bit more late game oriented, certainly than it was leading into TI4?
I think he has some decent late game potential. Get some ags on him, man. Pop a couple purges off on people. I don't know if you've ever tried it. It's kind of fun, but no, he has late game potential. I would say that Disruption is one of the better late game spells on a support defensively. It's not so good offensively in the late stages of the game, but defensively it can not only buy someone a ton of time, but if you synergize the illusion duration with someone like a Luna or an Anti-Mage or a Terrorblade, Terrorblade's been banned out though, but you get my point. It can actually work very well in the late game.
Well, speaking of supports that are breaking into the scene in a big way, talk about Ogre Magi here. I mean, the hero he's a classic example of one of those heroes. He's like a tree. Do you remember it was the same progress as just nobody plays him in pubs or in regs or in, professional matches rather. And so what we're going to do, we're going to buff him a little bit each patch for about, 6 patches, I want to say. He got buffs, maybe a little minor tweaks here. But by the time you reach the top end of that, suddenly he's very damn good and fits very well into the way the game works, with the fact that no longer does Bloodlust, no longer is it removed by Magic Immunity, which is excellent for BKB-style heroes, and now going to be going with the Spectre as well.
Yeah, I think Ogre Magi is just kind of the support that's broken on to the scene in this latest patch, and for all the reasons you mentioned, I think the biggest two things is that, one, it's a tanky support that doesn't die early on. He doesn't feed, which is also great in the later stages of the game, so it's both good and early in that aspect. And then, the Bloodlust thing was huge, as you mentioned. The multicast change, I feel like it says 50% at level 3, but I feel like it's higher. And then the axe is just so amazing. So it actually, he has basically 3 ways to transition into the late game as an effective support. It's being tanky. The Bloodlust is always effective later stages of the game, probably more effective later stages than not. And then the Ag Scepter never loses relevance because you can be out of mana in a fight and just still spam it. So, he's very good. And then Spectre picked up for TongFu, did get some minor nerfs. I guess I can call it minor. I don't think it was game-breaking for Spectre. Still an amazing hero. But, Spectre picked up for TongFu.
Well, the Spectre, I mean, we talked about it even before the recent... it was mostly small changes, but it was the heroes that everyone thought needed change. So I hesitate to call it a small patch, but nonetheless, the last time she was changed, it didn't change what's really at the core of Spectre. Just the way that the Dispersion works, the way the Desolate works. She is so unbelievably efficient with her gold. 20,000 gold on Spectre is better than 20,000 gold on just about any hero in the game. And that's not an exaggeration. I mean, it's a lot of gold, but just the way that she can put that to use once she hits that point of critical mass, even though you nerf the damage that's coming out of Haunt, it doesn't change what's at the core of her and why it fits in so well, in my opinion anyway. into the way that Dota's played right now after the most recent major game changes. So LAI Gaming answers up with a Doom and a Wraith King pick. The Doom pick, I mean, Doom is one of those heroes that seems to either be really popular or not given a lot of attention at all. And now we see him picked up here. What do you think the thinking behind the Doom pick is? I mean, the Doom's awesome on anyone, make no mistake. But usually if you let him survive into the second phase, then you pick him up then. It's for one particular purpose. What do you think that is?
Well, I think it just eliminates a hero from the game. It's especially good against Centaur. Just taking him out, making his Stampede somewhat useless. And I think that there's this kind of negative stigma against Doom that now that it doesn't work against passive, that now you have to get the Aghanims to have it work against passive, that it's not good anymore. But I don't think it really makes that much of a difference, and I don't think Ags on him is that bad anyway. It's actually really good. Like it feels like it lasts forever because if he's in the vicinity, the cooldown or the countdown timer doesn't go down. So I think he's a fine pickup right now, and I think teams will slowly start to recognize that.
Invoker rounds out the 5 for TongFu. I actually really like this pickup a lot. You've got a hero in the Spectre that wants to go late game. Invokers, he's another one of those heroes that tends to rise and fall in popularity. Oftentimes remains very popular if the team has a particularly well-known and skilled Invoker player. But he can make an impact early on, even if he does go a greedy build like a Midas. But he scales late ridiculously well. So he's going to be there right alongside of Spectre, putting use to that gold. And then you have the Centaur to go as well, which, as we've seen time and time again, gold or not, he really is always going to be useful in the late game so long as he's played effectively and is able to start the fights on his own terms. LAI Gaming on the other side, Enchantress, going to get adding a little bit of roaming potential to their already very, very capable lineup in terms of what they can do with the Shadow Demon, the Wraith King, and that Enchantress now, and just dicing this map up and really beginning to pick apart the lane phase.
Yep, and if you notice on TongFu, 4 out of 5 of their heroes are basically global. You have the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, the Sunstrike from Invoker, the Centaur ulti, which is global, and then the Spectre. So they're able to fight it, pretty much of a global space around the map, which is always very good. I really like TongFu's lineup, to be honest. And they're on Dire, so the Centaur is probably going to get a lot if he blocks effectively. Mm-hmm. It comes down to how strong this roaming potential from LAI can be, and I've seen this combo actually quite a lot. The Enchantress plus Shadow Demon, it's very, very effective. So despite the fact that their hard carry isn't as hard of a carry as Spectre, especially with Spectre with Bloodlust on him, but if they're able to create enough pressure early on and get a fast Blink Dagger on Panda, they might just be able to overrun TongFu.
Yeah, the only thing that really worries me when I look at LAI's lineup compared to TongFu is TongFu very much has a team that can just go, we're just going to turtle and farm. So long as they get up like a Midas on their Invoker, for example. I can't guarantee that's what he'll do, but seems to be the case whenever you have an Invoker on the team with another very late game oriented hero who you want to take late if you possibly can. They have the ability to turtle up, to play defensive. They have excellent defensive heroes with the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, with Ogre Magi being able to buff heroes even if they are a little bit behind in terms of item development. So even if LAI Gaming is able to really take control, start taking towers, start pushing them back under their own tier 2s and eventually to tier 3s, I think high grounding for them is going to be immensely difficult unless they have their Brewmaster just going absolutely bonkers, and if they're able to get XDD in a very good position on this farming Wraith King.
Yeah, he has chosen just to totally opt out of being in this top lane. Like, he's just gone straight to the jungle, which I find a little bit interesting for the fact that, one, he ran up here right at the start to place a ward, and I thought it was going to block the camp, but it actually doesn't. If you see where it's placed, it's traditionally placed a little bit closer to the hard camp. So he rushed up there, places a ward, but then goes straight to the jungle and bought boots first. So he's not going to get very much early on here. I mean, he's also theoretically sharing the jungle with Enchantress too, but he ate a creep. Now he's walking back up top, but he's not going to find anything. So Doom is going to have a relatively slow start right here. That's kind of worrisome for LAI Gaming. And that also goes back to the fact that Radiant offlane is just a bit more difficult in this patch.
Yeah. I think maybe the plan was, and he knows they're doing this, by the way, because of the ward, as we saw, so he's able to leech a little XP there. But I think the plan was, you're going to use Devour, so why not just go ahead, go into the jungle, Devour, clean it up, and hope that by now maybe they've missed a pull, maybe the creep equilibrium is a little bit more in your favor, and that's what it is. And he's going to be able to think about showing his face here. He's got boots first, but it is against a very deadly combination that pursues very well. with the Ogre Magi, the Ancient Apparition, and especially the Spectre with Spectral Dagger. In mid, though, we're going to have a gank onto the Invoker. There's a Disruption Elite. Clap going to follow. Red down to half health already. Super hits him with the Enchant. Easy as first blood of their life. LAI Gaming leads 1-0.
That's the roaming potential I was talking about, man.
Yep.
The Enchantress plus Shadow Demon, it's so good. And the good thing about it is that it doesn't matter what creep he has on the Enchantress. He had the Satyr, or the Satyr, which is actually pretty good level 1 because that nuke is nice and it has a low cooldown. But nonetheless, it could have been like a Purge creep. It doesn't matter. Just any kind of additional damage will secure that kill. He probably could have gotten the kill without the Enchantress, to be honest, just because of the damage of the clap and Shadow Demon setting it up and then body blocking a little bit with Illusion. So, yeah, very nice gank right there. Centaur picks up an Invis. At the very least, he's got 3 CS and it's level 3.5, so not doing too bad for U9.
Yeah, he's going to be able to come over and grab these creeps, prevent the pull. That's actually a pretty big deal whenever you talk about creep equilibrium and so on. So putting that to use very effectively early. LPC has roamed the Ogre Magi now towards mid. There is the Doom in the vicinity as well. Looks like he's hanging out in the jungle, at least for the moment. We'll see what they want to do with the Ogre. But as you mentioned, the roam potential gigantic in that tandem we saw come mid. The only concern I have is you have to not just get kills, you have to make sure that you're, even if you're not accomplishing objectives like towers, that you're controlling the map in such a way that you somehow feel confident going into the mid game against a Spectre who may, unless she's killed over and over again, still find her farm and still be able to fight at least towards the end of fights with Han.
Yeah, wow, I didn't see this, but that gank must have really hurt Red here in the mid lane because he is struggling in CS compared to this Panda. Panda's 17 and 8. And
he went Quas Wex.
Yeah, he's Quas Wex, but I still don't think the disparity should be this large. I would say in general, though, that Panda is actually quite good against Invoker for this reason. You see him cold snap him right there, and he just misses. Like, he keeps missing, so it makes, I missed a kill, but that was a kill onto the Centaur. An easy setup with, he also has a Dark Troll Summoner, so able to trap him down even further.
LPC in trouble. Surrounded by 3, near that rune spot. Down to half health. Red came over to try to help. Looks like they're going to be able to get both away safely here. So they end up giving up another death in bottom, but do manage to keep things going in mid. Now we're going to have Centaur zoned completely out by XDD. He's not level 6 yet. He's just coming up on level 5, as a matter of fact. So he's playing really ballsy. But this is, you know, again, they're accomplishing what we wanted to see them accomplish, which is not just make the ganks happen, but allow them to free the map up and to make everyone on the side of TongFu feel very defensive.
Yeah, I really like this by them. And the thing is I don't think that rotation of a level 2 or level 3 Ancient Apparition and Ogre is going to do too much.
Right.
It's like they can't go on anyone too because the Shadow Demon can just disrupt. So I really like this tri lane actually, and mid lane is getting just absolutely dominated. The only lane that's not doing too well is the Doom top, but he's actually got 10 CS as a result of Ogre trying to move around.
I mean, his levels aren't bad. He's almost level 4, and given he has just been walking around, a lot of haste on LPC. He's going to be disrupted, though, and he's in trouble. There's the Tornado EMP, not going to prevent his death, not going to help. Now let's see if they can get a return. 5400 will drop to the double edge. Super's right there. Kabu right up front. There's going to be the cold snap onto XDD. And no miss on that. He is using the Nature's Attendants to try to keep him alive. He makes it into the shadows. Will they be able to get off one more auto attack? He tangos. Oh, they got him just barely. Super there, coming around from the back to try and help out perhaps, but got there a little bit late. That's going to be a nice coup for TongFu as they get their first 2 kills on the board.
It is.
And now XTT might be in trouble. He's pursued, hit with Ignite. Jalov is right behind him. Hit him with a Spectral Dagger. Do they have the damage? Yes, they do. Following up. Oh, no! Fire Blast not long enough. There's 5400 with a defensive disruption. Now Jalov taking damage. XTT will drop. They could end up losing the Spectre. No, he's going to be able to make it into the woods. LPC ends up down as well. And Jalov doesn't have a TP. He's trapped right here. Yeah, and they know where he is. He's got tangos. He'll be able to use his way out.
Yeah, I'll be able to, if that Shadow Demon actually hit the Soul Catcher on the correct target, being the Spectre, I think the Spectre dies instead of the Ogre. So, which would have definitely been better, but at least he got one of them. So, it wasn't a total failure. But, I mean, dives like that, yeah, actually still had 31 CS. That's still not too bad for Spectre. But the biggest thing is, yeah, the Invoker went bottom, but the tower was already dead. And he's just got such little CS, man. Like, this is very, very low at 6 minutes.
Smoke from Kabu and LBC now. LPC trying to make up at least some of that gap. As we see, 4 of the top 5, by the way, in terms of overall CS belong to LAI Gaming. So they're doing exactly what we wanted to see them do. Again, not only are they rotating well, they're making things happen, they're taking towers, but they're using it to the advantage of not just the objectives themselves, but how they free the map up. They're going to try to make a little ground up here against the Brew, but Brew can split. Yeah, they just got to back off of this.
Yeah, Andy's going to have a blink at around 8 minutes, which is very, very early, especially considering that they upped the cost by 100 gold for the blink dagger. So, yeah, XZ doing very, very well for himself in the mid lane. And I have to say still that Panda does very well in this matchup. I just think that Invoker should also have more CS than he does. Maybe that level 1 gank really did screw him up. Sometimes those ganks just totally mess with you because now you're dealing with a Panda that's 1 level higher than you. You feel like you can't bully him out of lane, which you couldn't really do in the first place. So.
Kabu making his way at the top. LPC and he have been roaming around accomplishing not a whole lot for about the last minute or two, so that's a lot of wasted time. They really need to make something happen on XTT to justify this time investment. Speaking of time investment, looks like XTD's investing in the future. He's picked himself up a hand of Midas, and Midas on a Wraith King coming out sub 8 minutes with... I mean, that's going to put them in such a good position. I mean, with the Brewmaster doing so well, the way that they've shut I feel like if they just shut Spectre down, they're going to have completed the full tableau of objectives. XC going to try to engage on the red, gets off the dust, now will split, and catches him with the rock over in the woods. That Stampede may be enough. Oh, they lost him, went in the wrong direction. So, trying to find him elsewhere, and ends up wasting his ultimate. Good play there, good help from the Centaur.
Yep, that's one of the tried and true counters, so to speak, to a Panda. If your ulti is up quickly on Stampede, from the Centaur, then yeah, very nice counter to the Brew, and we saw it right there, just how it comes into play. So first ulti for, I think that was the first one from Brew, is unsuccessful, and it's with the Blink Dagger, but he can still initiate on here if he has some people coming by, and yep, Doom is level 6. This could be a very easy kill onto either one of these heroes, maybe both. Quick defensive blink away though from XZ.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to abandon this for the moment. XTT still hanging around in the woods. He's picked up Tranks and a Glove of Haste, so one would imagine a Midas is going to be on the way for him as well, so definitely comfortable playing for the late game. All things being equal, farm equal on both sides. Who do you like better, late game Wraith King from a farming position or a Spectre?
I just don't think Spectre's going to have enough help. Like, obviously, I would choose a Spectre over a Wraith King, but I don't think his team is going to bring enough. Like, Wraith King can just go in there with not a care in the world, obviously, because he's going to have 2
Speaking
lives.
of Clap, on to U9. He's going to be caught from behind that with a Wraith Fire Blast and dead before help arrives. Here comes a Spectre in, though, to try to help out. Joe Love on super tanky as he is. Not tanky enough. XTD turns around. He is level 8 now. Will have his ulti. Doing good damage to LPC, and now the Brew comes back in. Doesn't have his ulti. Doesn't need it. Centaur's there. Stomp in 7 seconds. I don't know they're going to be able to catch him. Oh, wow! Lot of burst damage output, and now Red comes in, but it's a day late and a dollar short as he's chased all the way into the woods. That tornado did nothing but seal his own demise, as he's very low mana and will be hemmed up. He's trying to give him the okie doke. There's the... Oh, he lost him! And now U9's there! Never mind. Red shook him. Got straight shook. In the meantime, though, they are losing their mid-tier 1.
Yeah, and they're losing all ground, and they need to get a little bit more out of the Spectre haunt, too. Like, if he's doing that, he cannot die, because if Spectre's haunting into the fight, then he's fighting, obviously, and he's not getting any farm, so you want to get a lot out of it early on. And when you die with a Spectre haunt used, it sets you back so much. And like I mentioned, it's not so much Wraith King versus Spectre, it's Wraith King plus amazing ultimate from Doom that takes out 1 hero. They have the defensive capabilities, they have a Panda split. There's just so much more working on the side of LAI. So I would actually say that they do have the upper hand in the late game, because I don't think the Spectre is going to be able to do enough. I just don't.
I feel like they're in a great position now, as I just had the gold graph up. You can see it's about 4,000, 2,000 in terms of golden XP advantages, which is fantastic for 11 minutes in. You've got your farm on the Wraith King. CS-wise, he's second. He's right in the realm of the Spectre, but it's been a much more active lane for him as there's been pushes and towers and so on and so forth. But I feel like this is just the beginning. They really, I mean, how many times have we seen an Enchantress fall off because she gets inactive at this stage of the game? I mean, she's in great shape now, but I think they have to continue to utilize her in exactly the manner they have been. Just roam her around, make things happen, get picks, take objectives. Yep.
She actually does decently as we transition to the mid to late game. She's not like amazing in the late game, but with the Ags upgrade, she's the extra range just makes all the difference in the world. Not even just for your impetus damage, but just in general, being able to stay further away. So you can still pump out the damage, but be out of harm's way at the same time.
For the moment, both teams playing a little bit defensively. AA going to toss an ult down towards bottom. If they can catch, nah, he's going to be off of this. Not sure if that's amazing game sense or if they saw it coming, but seeing the ulti head in his direction, perhaps scaring XDD away, assuming there was a rotation on the way, and there was. It was a two-man smoke from LPC and Red, and this Invoker is feeling like almost like a support right now. He's level 8, which isn't terrible, but he is going to have a 4-staff soon, but his early game has just not been at all what you want from an Invoker. He's right on par with the off-lane Centaur, and it might get worse as LAI Gaming now has a 4-man smoke just to the north of mid lane. They're going to bring their 5th in as well, dropping a ward into lane, and that's going to be the Centaur they see first. Bruise right there, ready to go. They're so close. Smoke going to be popped. There's the clap. Stampede immediately used. And, wow, that was kind of a weird time to decide to go, I guess. I mean, you know Stampede's going to be there, and now they can't follow it up as there's no one else in mid. They will be able to take the tier 1 for free. Red's going to get off the Tornado EMP. That's going to catch the Brew. Will it leave him enough? No. Doesn't have enough mana for his ulti. This is when this is when they want to go. There's a defensive disruption AA ulti on the way, and we're going to see 5400 giving his body for it. Behind that, Wraithfire Blast on the U9. They're grouped up near these steps trying to fight it out. There's going to be a stomp. They caught a couple. U9 still trying to make it run away. Oh, big burst of damage on the super. He's going to end up dead behind this. XTD doesn't have enough mana for his ulti as well, but I don't know that it's going to matter. He and XTT giving pursuit. The Brewmaster ulti does go off, and now Zhao Love might end up dead again. Wraithfire Blast finishes him off. 3 for 2 the exchange so far. Rock will catch Kabu, but they decide not worth pursuing as they're just going to turn their attentions to this tier 1 and finally bring it down following the glyph. Red, though, is going to go in and Tornado EMP one more time. Trying to get the deny. Nope. Brew there. A little bit too quick. LPC back in. There's going to be a cold snap on XTT, XTT right behind him, though. XTT using the Scorch Earth to try to get away. Super.
It's
using
all
it, but it's
Ogre
good damage. Yep. And Ogre left behind as XTD continues to just pile it on. That's a mega kill streak for him. That's going to be a Blink Dagger as his second big item after the Midas. And that is exactly what they wanted to do to seal up this mid game. At this point, TongFu, I feel, has to just try to farm and try to stay safe.
I didn't see exactly what happened, but there was a defensive disruption on the 0 mana Panda. He was so close to dying. The haunt came in. I think it came in rather late, to be honest. I think he needed to use it a little bit earlier. But the defensive disruption totally saved the day because I think he had enough time to actually get his blink off, and what happened is he had like nothing, like very little health, absolutely no mana, and he got a regen in the middle of the fight and was able to pop the regen and then come back in with the split. Had that not happened, had he died, not got the regen, I think it could have been a completely different fight. So big play there by the Shadow Demon player, which is 5400. Very nicely done.
Top tier 1 now, got to be the target, and I don't think, like, at this point, if you're TongFu, can you even reliably take a fight unless it's just a flat-out smoke gank and you're way ahead? I mean,
doesn't feel like it. I mean, they need a blink on this Centaur really badly.
Yeah. I feel like LAI's just, I honestly feel like they can just start to 5-man, and so long as the ultis are up, I don't know what TongFu can do. Ice Blast going to catch 3, but not going to be enough to prevent that tower death. And yeah, they're not even going to do it. Yeah, like at this point, they can just run 3, 4 like this. 5400 and super, such a strong combination as we've seen. And they can just control the map now.
Yeah, I think they should have maybe like had the Invoker be a bit more active with this Quaswex with the supports. Like supports come to him, they smoke and do something. Because while I do think this Quaswex is kind of effective against the Panda, it's obviously very effective against Wraith King by burning his mana. They're just like not doing it. They're doing it as reactionary rather than like getting on the
U9 in trouble. TP to follow it up. There's going to be the Stampede used. That's Red coming in, and in the meantime, Tornado EMP going to catch XDD. He will not have enough mana for his ulti. He's going to need some help. Defensive disruption is there. He's going to head to the south. Super's right there to try to help him out. Red taking a lot of damage from Impetus, and they decide to go ahead and back it off. Behind that, though, they do manage to catch it, but he has ulti up now. Got him with the slow, only got the Ancient Apparition. Let's see if they want to engage. They've got a lot of support coming from the other corners of the map. Kabu blinked upon and hit with the Wraithfire Blast. Now the follow-up. There's going to be Brew securing that kill. Doom onto Red. He's got to just run, and Brew's going to ulti just to catch Zhao Love. This is well worth that ulti if you can get Spectre in the midst of an already won fight. This is going to be 4 down with Red hightailing it back to the fountain for his dear life. LPC last to drop. And yeah, all of this started with a 3-on-3 situation. It was actually, it looked like a 3-on-2, but then the TP was in. But this is what I was talking about. The 5-man potential of these heroes when the ultis are up on XDD, XZ, and XTT is ridiculous. I don't know what TongFu can do.
And at the very towards the beginning of that, one impetus came from the Enchantress while Stampede was up, and he just ran away. It took like a third of his HP away and just killed him in one shot. That was pretty unfortunate, because you always don't want to run towards the team, but then you're like, I want to run away and use that Stampede, but it actually hurt him more than it helped him.
Net worth-wise, 3 of the top 4, 4 of the top 5, all belong to LAI Gaming. Their Spectre is the lone bright point there, but even at this point, she is being outfarmed by 1,500 gold by the Doom that was off lane and arguably had the hardest time in the entire laning phase. And the Wraith King is huge. He's got 3,000-ish gold, about 2,900, that he's going to be able to put towards whatever he wants.
Radiance, do it.
Yep. you like the Radiance on the Wraith King here?
I think if you can get it fast, then why not? But nah, he's going to be a pussy and go for Black King Bar or something.
Well, we'll see. There's that blink finally on the Centaur, though. So their ability to maybe try and take a fight on their own terms certainly bolstered a lot. Zhao Love, though, picked up that Vit Booster. We've been seeing that a bit. Naked Vit Booster into whatever other build you want to go after that. He certainly needs it. The killing potential of LAI Gaming with the ultis up is so ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with the Spectre build, too. I don't think rushing a Radiance is going to do much against these tanky heroes. Like, it's not going to do anything against the Wraith King. Doom is very tanky and gets even more tanky when he pops Scorched Earth. It's like maybe okay against the Enchantress, but once she gets levels into the Untouchable, those illusions aren't going to hit her. She can just heal up. So this is a very somewhat tanky team from LAI, so it kind of renders the Spectre not useless, but definitely not very effective.
Looks like they don't even want to defend this tier 2. And this speaks to what we were talking about. How do you fight? Like right now, Brew ult up. The Wraith King ult is up. They even have Demonic Purge up. Everything is ready. And if I'm LAI Gaming, I mean, you can do it methodically, go mid, take the tier 2, maybe try to take a Roshan, and then, but at this point, I feel like they could safely push a tier 3.
Yeah. I really think just the early aggression is what sealed the deal here for LAI. It was just the roaming from SD and the Enchantress rendered the mid lane useless. So they won bottom, they won mid heavily, and were also able to farm at the same time. Stampede comes out in response to the Panda ulti, so unfortunate other misuse of the Panda ulti there. I didn't see the beginning of it, but
I was watching. It was just honestly a lot of greed from the Brew player for no reason whatsoever. Blinked right into a spot where he knew 2 heroes were. Kabu threw an AA blast. It caught him. He got hit with the Blink Stomp and Double Edge. And honestly, I think he might have just been making space. And it looks like they figured that out as Roshan was just about to die. And yeah, looks like XDD doesn't care. He gets a blast of mana boots, and all he needs mana for is his ulti. This is going to be a free Roshan. So yeah, check that. Sorry, XZ. I honestly think he just went up there to make space and get their attention. That's exactly what he did, and his team takes a free Roshan.
Yep. And regen rune spawns top. That's going to be good for him. They also got mana boots on the SD, which is very good against the combos from Invoker. Invoker's sitting on Enforce Staff, which is, I mean, okay, but he's severely underfarmed. And now we have 4 members of LAI Gaming more farmed than anyone else from TongFu.
Yep.
And if looking at the graphs, it's pretty, oh my god, it's about 16k net worth at 20 minutes in. That's
worse than I thought.
God, that's massive. I mean, well, even if it was like 7,500 right now, it'd be huge, but it's double that, actually. Well, yeah, actually more than double. That's crazy.
It's games like this to make me want to break into the Steve Spurrier impression. Well, you know, this nasally, just whelp, they got us. 21 minutes, and LAI in total control. If you are TongFu, and this is a match you have to win, what's your surest path to victory, slim as the chance might be?
Dodge all fights and let Spectre get huge. I don't think anyone can kill anybody. Like, oh, yeah. That's actually Shadow Demon's the one that ports out, and he knows it as the Ice Blast comes down. He's like the only person they can kill. Is Shadow Demon isolated or Enchantress isolated? But they're never going to be, because as you mentioned, they can just 5-man, and they can't really die that way. So you have to completely dodge fights if you're TongFu, wait till up with the high ground defense, and hopefully the Spectre can just pump out some more items. But I mean, I've seen a Blade of Alacrity come out of... Oh,
Clap and ulti. Stampede's going to be there. They're going to haunt as well. LPC, the one track down. They got the Doom off on red once again. So he can do nothing but just run along home. The Ancient Apparition, caught by the Storm aspect, comes back down in a hot LZ. As LZ, or as LAI Gaming and Xe add to this already nigh insurmountable lead. Easy 2 kills on the supports. Cost them a Brew ulti, but they're not going to mind. They managed to save the Wraith King ulti, and now they're ready to go high ground. Tier 3 on the way.
Yep, and I really like this Doom pickup. I think he's just so good against this team because early on, it's the Invoker that really has to set the pace in these fights just because of the way the draft is built up. Oh, that was a really nice combo him, by the way, though. See, you see how effective he could have been if this was a more even game. Like that, this combo of the Tornado plus CMP is so good against LAI Gaming's heroes.
Up here we go. U9 engages 5400, gets 4 staff to safety. Ice Blast on the way. Got 3. Now the Wraith King does not have enough mana for his ult. To keep that in mind, XTT and Super make the run away in one direction, while XZ and XDD headed in the other. Looks like he did get enough mana for his ulti now. But one of the few bright points in this game for TongFu being able to hold the line. Red did land a nice Tornado EMP, but got to be the beginning of something much, much larger.
Yep, and XZ's coming up here. He's got BKB and Vlads. Looking for some aggression. Maybe he can pick off a support or something. Maybe he can pick off a courier, actually. Because he'll crit that, I'm pretty sure, first hit. Yeah, he's going to get this courier. He'll get it. Yep.
LOL. Tornado. Very quick
reaction
reaction
time. He's got the BKB TP. Or...
He'll
just dead.
Yep.
I think he's still dead, yeah.
Yeah, he just died, so.
I don't know why he didn't BKB earlier, but... Alright, courier for a streak on Brew. I'll take that if I'm TongFu.
Yeah, I guess certainly better than just losing courier. At least you get something out of it. Don't know that it's going to make a huge dent. As we can see, the last 2 events, the pick off of the Brew and getting things turned around at the Tier 3 gets things moving in the right direction, but long way to go, and so much of that has to be covered by this Spectre, who is still abysmally underfarmed. Is literally just 100 gold ahead of the Enchantress. Now a couple of 100 gold, but right in the range of the Enchantress's farm. We'll have the Diffusal Blade up here momentarily, though.
Yeah, if they can combo their spells appropriately, like with the Tornado EMP, Ice Blast, they actually have a chance to hold this. They really do. I think that their lineup is pretty cool. It's pretty crafty with the Quaswex Invoker. It's just, can they burst the Wraith King down before he uses his stick? That's the question, because they're going to cast a lot of spells. They're going to burn his mana initially, but he'll have like a 10 stick by that time that will save him to use the Reocarn. It's a matter of killing him before he can actually use that.
Super. 4 staffs. 4 staffed, rather. Going to be hit in the face with the Ice Blast. Wants to turn this around a little bit as there is help on the way. Here comes 5400. Gets off the Demonic Purge on the Kabu. XZ looping around from the back. Prompted the Stampede, but the disruption is there. And the slow follow from Brew with the clap. XZ. XDD is going to finish off LPC. It's alphabet soup here in Chinese Dota. Hopefully you can follow it as better than I can. Nonetheless, a nice attempt from TongFu as they had to make something happen, and they were playing rather greedy in their jungle. However, just nothing to follow in the reaction from LAI. Little too good. Let's see if Invoker can hit himself another 3 or 4 man Tornado EMP.
Doom is spotting out this the Centaur. He's effectively zoning him out right now. As they want to cast a Doom on him and make him completely useless here. And they see him, but I mean, if they just keep wasting all this time, they're going to lose their racks, and they're going for the melee ones. Screw the range. They just want to like end this now.
Well, they're going to have to pick their moment. It's got to be soon. XDD hit with the Ignite. He's down to about a quarter health. Might pop his ulti. Brew actually preemptively ults. And Spectre coming in to behind the fight, it looks like. Super does manage to survive. In the meantime, XDD will be caught with Spectral Dagger. Zhao Love manages to pop his ulti off. He's not level 16, so it'll still be a decent wait until it's back up. LPC comes back out. It's a Fire Blast on the Super. Follows with the Ignite, however. Tossed up. And the rest of his team going to give the cursory pursuit. Will they actually catch someone? Yeah, they got Super with the Tornado EMP. There's the Deafening Blast as well, and gone. Now, Zhao Love and Kabu maybe. Yep, going to get circled around on. XZ comes in, gets caught, but Zhao Love is just so weak, has no survivability at all. U9 going to catch XZ with a stomp and a double edge. Kabu and LPC still being pursued a bit. BKB will wear off on XDD, and that should be enough to force them back. So ends up being obviously not great for TongFu. as they lost their racks, but they did at the very least manage to get a couple of heroes and pick off behind that.
Yeah, I actually think that went pretty well for TongFu. It really sucks that they lost the Spectre, but I mean, they held at least something. They got some kills out of it. It's mainly because this Doom got caught out. Like, he was forced to use his Doom, which he actually at least got off still, but he wanted to be the initiator onto the Centaur. And it actually turned around the other way, and they got the kill off onto him very, very quickly before the fight really even started. So, yeah, all things considered, I don't think it went too badly for TongFu, but they do have a big problem, which is this Wraith King has basically double the farm of the Spectre.
Yeah. That's on the back of an 8-1-9 performance for him. 6-2 on the Brew. Centaur is looking to go BKB. He has an Ogre Club up and not a whole lot else to his name unless he's got something on the courier I'm not seeing, which he doesn't. But, I mean, if he gets a BKB, they'll be able to stand and fight a little bit better, I think. But, yeah, I think LAI Gaming could certainly be doing this a little cleaner, but they are slowly whittling them down.
Yeah, if they get a BKB up onto the Doom, I don't think they have anything to worry about. In fact, if I'm looking at LAI Gaming's lineup, I think if they all get BKBs, there's literally nothing that TongFu can do, just because the Spectre's right-click damage is not that strong right now. And here comes an aggressive smoke from TongFu.
U9 jumps in, catches 5400 right off the bat. They'll be able to blow him up. He did get doomed, right? Oh, nice disruption to keep him alive a little bit longer. In the meantime, XTT being pursued out. Shadow Demon does end up biffing it. The Doom doing damage on U9, but there's just not enough punching power to pursue, and they catch XTT around the bend as well. So a nice multiple-person gank working out so far. Going to force another BKB usage out of the Brew. He's already down to 7 seconds on that BKB. He's going to try. And going to immediately ulti. He's got to pick himself a target, though. As Super came in from the back, just going to go right onto the Spectre. He's doing good damage. You're going to end up losing Super amidst all of this, certainly, though. As XDD helping out on the back of it as well. He joins back up with the Brew, whose ult is yet to expire. That's going to be a 4 for 3, maybe more if they catch red. XDD. A little late on the Wraithfire Blast, not going to matter, though. As XZ was there, EMP, an inconvenience at best, making a triple kill for XZ. 5-man wipe, and what looked to be a nice maneuver, they just overstayed their welcome.
Yep, they had Wraith King on his way up, so was still being active despite having all this farm. And once he was coming in from the backstab, yeah, it looked really, really grim. And there's the GG from LPC, so 29-minute game. Could have been a little bit earlier, but TongFu showed some signs of life towards the end there. But they needed to show that kind of fight much earlier. They needed to have Invoker dodge some ganks. He needed to play a little bit more passively when he knew that the supports were missing, because we talked about at the very beginning of this game, this combination of Enchantress plus Shadow Demon is so potent. And on top of that, just in general, Brewmaster 1v1 against a Wex Invoker is pretty good. Like, we saw him try to cold snap him early on. First of all, Cold Snap does just crappy damage in general after it got nerfed. Second, he kept missing him, so the Cold Snap wasn't even proccing. So it was on top of a good 1v1 matchup in addition to good roaming from LAI.
Just short of 30 minutes the time it took. Wonderfully executed from LAI Gaming. I really liked TongFu's lineup during the draft, and their execution, I guess you can phrase it either way. Either their execution was lacking or LAI's was just that damn good. Either way, the result's the same. A big win for LAI Gaming in Game 1 of this best of 3, 10-2 for the Brewmaster, 9-1 from XDD's Wraith King. Not a whole lot of bright spots worth mentioning on the side of TongFu, as they still look like they have a whole lot of work to do if they want to get themselves into actual Tier 1 competitive game shape. But I guess this is how you do it. Play against better teams. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast, guys. D2L Eastern Division action, as this series now potentially one game away from reaching its conclusion. If TongFu doesn't turn it around in a hurry, they're going to be booted on out 2-0 with their second loss in Eastern Division play. Trout, my friend, looking ahead to Game 2, what adjustments, if any, do you think need to be made?
Well, I think that they need to get some supports that can roam a little bit better. I don't even think that AA and Ogre are that bad at roaming, to be honest. So maybe it's not that they need to get supports that roam better. They just need to roam better, and they need to dodge the ganks when they know that the supports are missing. So I would get a mid that's a little more durable, and just have the supports be a little bit more active early on.
Well, we'll see if that's the direction they go. Game 2 of this leadoff best of 3. It's a doubleheader day once again. LGD, CDEC, well, actually it's technically just CDEC now, taking on LGD China, coming up as our second best of 3.